of our Lord Sri Aurobindo. Our Lord Sri Aurobindo says, put all before the Divine Mother in your heart so that her divine light may work on it for the best. With always our love and blessings, says our Lord Sri Aurobindo. Sri Aurobindo's Savitri, Book 5, The Book of Love, Canto 3, Satyavan and Savitri, page 407. A truth was felt that screened its shape from mind, a greatness working towards a hidden end. And vaguely through the forms of earth there looked something that life is not and yet must be. I groped for the mystery with the lantern thought, its glimmerings lighted with the abstract word, a half visible ground, and travelling yard by yard, it mapped a system of the self and God. I could not live the truth it spoke and thought. I turned to seize its form in visible things, hoping to fix its rule by mortal mind, imposed a narrow structure of world law upon the freedom of the infinite, a hard, firm skeleton of outward truth, a mental scheme of a mechanic power. This light showed more the darknesses unsurged. It made the original secrecy more occult. It could not analyze its cosmic wheel or glimpse the wonder worker's hidden hand and trace the pattern of his magic plans. I plunged into an inner seeing mind and knew the secret laws and sorceries that make of matter mind's bewildered slave. The mystery was not solved but deepened more. I strove to find its hints through beauty and art, but form cannot unveil the indwelling power. Only it throws its symbols at our hearts. It evoked a mood of self, invoked a sign of all the brooding glory hidden in sense. I lived in the ray, but faced not to the sun. I looked upon the world and missed the self, and when I found the self, I lost the world. My other selves I lost, and the body of God, the link of the finite with the infinite, the bridge between the appearance and the truth, the mystic aim for which the world was made, the human sense of immortality. Words of our Lord Sri Aurobindo, taken from the collective works of our Lord Sri Aurobindo, book The Life Divine, topic The Gnostic Being, page 1026. Our Lord Sri Aurobindo says, it has been held that Ecstasy is a lower and transient passage. The peace of the Supreme is the supreme realization, the consummation, abiding experience. This may be true on spiritual mind plane. There, the first ecstasy felt is indeed a spiritual rapture, but it can be and is very usually mingled with the supreme happiness of the vital parts taken up by the Spirit. There is an exaltation, excitement, a highest intensity of the joy of the heart, and the pure inner soul sensation that can be a splendid passage or an uplifting force, but is not the ultimate permanent foundation. But in the highest essence of the spiritual bliss, there is not this vehement exaltation and excitement. There is indeed an illimitable intensity of participation in an eternal ecstasy which is founded on the eternal existence and therefore on a beatific tranquility of eternal peace. Our Lord Sri Aurobindo says, peace and ecstasy cease to be different and become one. The supermind, reconciling and fusing all differences as well as all contradictions, brings out this unity, a wide, calm, and a deep delight of all existence are among its first steps of self realization. But this calm and this delight rise together as one state into an increasing intensity and culminates in the eternal ecstasy, the bliss that is the infinite. In the Gnostic consciousness, at any stage, there would be always, in some degree, this fundamental and spiritual conscious delight of existence in the whole depth of the being. But also, the movements of nature would be pervaded by it, and all actions and reactions of the life and body. None could escape the law of the Ananda. Our Lord Sri Aurobindo says, even before the Gnostic change, there can be a beginning of this fundamental ecstasy of being translated into a manifold beauty and delight. In the mind, it translates into a calm or intense delight of spiritual perception and vision and knowledge. In the heart, into a wide or a deep or passionate delight of universal union and love and sympathy, and the joy of beings and the joy of things. Our Lord Sri Aurobindo continues to say, in the will and vital parts, it is felt as the energy of delight of a divine life power in action or a beatitude of senses, perceiving and meeting the one everywhere. Perceiving as the normal aesthesis of things, a universal beauty and a secret harmony of creation, of which our mind can catch only imperfect glimpses or a rare supernormal sense. In the body, it reveals itself as an ecstasy pouring into it from the heights of spirit and the peace and bliss of a pure and spiritualized physical existence. Our Lord Sri Aurobindo says, a universal beauty and glory of being begins to manifest. All objects reveal hidden lines, vibrations, powers, harmonic significances concealed from the normal mind and the physical sense. In the universal phenomena is revealed the eternal Ananda. Our Lord continues to say, these are the first major results of the spiritual transformation that follow as a necessary consequence of the nature of supermind. But if there is to be not only a perfection of the inner existence of consciousness, of an inner delight of existence, but a perfection of life and action, two other questions present themselves from our mental viewpoint, which have to our human thought about our life and its dynamism a considerable and even a premier importance. First, there is the place of personality in the Gnostic being, whether the status and building of the being will be quite other than what we experience as the form and life of the person or similar. If there is a personality and it is in any way responsible for its action, there intervenes next the question of the place of ethical element and its perfection and fulfillment in the Gnostic nature. Ordinarily, says our Lord, in the common notion, the separative ego is ourself, and if ego has to disappear in a transcendental or universal consciousness, personal life and action must cease. For the individual disappearing, they can only be an impersonal consciousness, a cosmic self. But if the individual is altogether extinguished, no further question of personality or responsibility or ethical perfection can arise. According to another line of ideas, the spiritual person remains but liberated, purified, perfected in nature in a celestial existence. But here we are still on earth, and it is yet supposed that the ego personality is extinguished and replaced by a universal spiritual individual who is a center and power of the transcendent being. Our Lord Aurobindo says it may or it might be deduced that this Gnostic or supramental individual is a self without personality, an impersonal Purusha. There could be many Gnostic individuals, but there would be no personality. All would be the same in being and nature. This again would create the idea of a void or blank of pure being from which an action and a function of experiencing consciousness would arise, but without a construction of differentiated personality such as that which we can observe and regard as ourselves on our surface. But this would be a mental, rather a supermental solution of the problem of spiritual individuality, surviving ego and persisting in experience. In the supermind, consciousness, personality, and impersonality are not opposite principles. They are inseparable aspects of one and the same reality. This reality is not the ego, but the being, which is impersonal, universal in his stuff of nature, but forms out of it an expressive personality, which is his form of self in the changes of nature. To be continued.
प्रसीद भगवत्यं प्रसीद भक्तवत्सले प्रसादं कुरु मे देवी दुर्गे देवी नमोऽस्तुते प्रसीद भगवत्यं प्रसीद भक्तवत्सले प्रसादं कुरु मे देवी दुर्गे देवी नमोऽस्तुते शरणं 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 वीरा शरणं वीरा मम शरणम्.
Prayers and Meditations, October 23rd, 1914. O Lord, the entire being is ready, and it calls thee to take possession of what is thine. Of what service can be the instrument if the master will not use it? And whatever be the mode of manifestation, it shall be well, from the most humble, most obscure, most material, most outwardly limited to the vastest, most brilliant, most powerful, most intellectual. The entire being is ready and waits in a passive silence until it is thy will to manifest.